Yeah, go ahead and call this meeting to order. Roll call in.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
Commissioner Gumbels,
Here.
and Mayor Trujillo.
Here, I want to lead you in prayer and the pledge. Will you bow your heads, please? Lord, I want to thank you for this evening, Lord. I want to thank you for letting us all gather here today and share our minds and share our thoughts on many issues with the city, Lord. I want to also ask you for prayers for all our troops overseas, Lord, and all the little battles that are happening overseas, that we may not have to get too involved with them, Lord, and may all our troops come home safe and their families be blessed, Lord, while their loved ones are away, Lord. Lord, I also want to thank you for this city of Lovington, Lord, for all that we try to do for the city and try to make it as perfect as possible, Lord. Thank you for all the good revenues that you've sent us. Thank you for the oil and gas and the price where it's at is today, Lord. As we gather here today, help us, Lord, to come to all to agreement and get a good ordinance passed for the public's best interest, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, to see a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for consideration of minutes March 25th, 2019. Six.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Everybody rushed in here and everybody forgot, didn't they? All right. We're going to go ahead and go on to Commissioner and Staff report. Wyatt?
We'll give you an update on our Main and Avenue D down Main Street in front of the courthouse. We passed over the permit issued, or the state's requiring, New Mexico DOT's requiring a permit to work on their highway. We have passed that over to our contractor that we've hired. They are trying to complete that so they can get it back to us and get the approval so we can work on the intersection by McDonald's and down by Cornerstone to redo those roads. Hopefully we'll see back that permit within the week so they can get started on it. Met with Constructors Inc. on 17th Street. They're going to be out there tomorrow to repair the issue that we have with it. So just guys, let you guys know that's going to be happening tomorrow.
So are they going to divert traffic on that?
They are actually. They're going to have flaggers out there instead of doing a full shutdown. They're going to have flaggers, and they're not going to start until after 8 with bus traffic and they're going to hopefully be done by 2:33. Thank you, John.
Any other questions? Gary?
Just looking for your mayor and commission. I'm looking forward to our special budget meeting in April 18th, and so we're working on that. And then the other thing, just kind of routine, we'll be working more on that LGBMS, the DFA budget report. I'll have to bring all that stuff to you next quarter for our next meeting for the next last quarter. That's it.
Commissioner Campos, you got anything?
Not yet. I'm still warming up.
All right. Jillian?
Nothing to report, sir.
Anna?
Nothing, sir.
Commissioner?
None at this time.
Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Commissioner?
No, sir.
Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
James?
Yes, sir. To start out with, 5:30 next Thursday here for the budget work session. Also, the cleanup, I guess, competition that you would have for the month of April. So far, we've only had 49 bags turned in, and they were all turned in by kids at the youth center. So I know the first day they spent about 30 minutes picking up some litter in the field that's located just to the east of the youth center and turned in 13 bags. So we're still wanting more public participation in that, and it runs till April 30th. And also on April 27th is when we do have the citywide cleanup day scheduled through our Keep Lovington Beautiful. We also, the governor did sign the capital outlay bill, which was Senate Bill 280. We will be receiving grant funding for in the amount of $600,000 for the Veterans Memorial Park project, $250,000 for a fire department rescue vehicle, $240,000 for an ambulance, and then $100,000 towards the restoration of the Lee Theater. Those are the projects that were funded out of the top 6 that we submitted. The ones that didn't was the amphitheater project, as well as the baseball field concession and restrooms. Those 2 did not receive any capital outlay appropriations. And that's all I have, sir.
Patrick?
Nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to public comment. One thing about, on this public comment, anything that pertains other than to ordinance 569. So if you got anything other than 569 ordinance, I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak during the ordinance. So right now, anything pertaining other than 569, public comment. Okay, moving on to non-action items. James?
Sir, the first item that we do have is specific public comment for ordinance 569.
Okay, so we're now on public comment for ordinance 569.
What is that?
That is, I'm sorry, that is what will come out in the paper and so forth, talking about Main and Avenue D and all the changes that we're looking at. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'll say something about that. Mayor, Commissioners, remember the government was created to protect our rights, not take them away. Remember that. Just say that again. Government was created to protect our rights, not take our rights away. That's exactly what you're all doing. Ordinance 569. Ordinance 569, now this sounds good, but what the real purpose is, this is sustainable development. The objective of sustainable development is to integrate economic and social and environmental policies in order to achieve reduced consumption, social equality, and preserve restoration and biodiversity based on global land use and global education and global population control and reduction. Local sustainable development policies are comprehensive planning. That's what y'all doing right here, comprehensive planning. And this all comes from the ICLEI. That stands for International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. This was started in 1987. No matter what you change, all this is the wrong agenda. It's not about people's rights. It's about people control. And we were all born with natural rights, life, liberty, and property, and the ability to defend them the best way we can. That's what I'm doing here today. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, look at Venezuela a few years ago, and look at Venezuela now. You know, I've been in Lovington for approximately 46 years. And when I came to Lovington, Lovington was a booming place. Every business was blowing and going. Everything was full. Everybody was working. And it seemed like it's just disintegrated over the years. You know, if you look at Lovington now, Lovington starts to look more like Mexico. There's a guy selling cheese from Chihuahua down there on 1st and Avenue D. There's a food truck up there on 4th and Avenue D. They've been here for, I know, 2 years, maybe longer. He used to work at Bob's. I've seen the truck up there.
Earl, don't talk about other people's businesses, okay? Just keep your comments to yourself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about Lovington. That's what Lovington is becoming. Lovington will never be Lovington like I remember Lovington. When I came here, we went downtown with my kids, and we went Christmas shopping. We bought this wedding band I got on. It came from Moon Jewelry, right downtown Lovington. And what's downtown Lovington now? We have Main Street program. As far as I'm concerned, it's a failure. The county just gave them $75,000 the other day. And, okay, you want to talk about ordinances? You say this 569 ordinance says it's to take care of weeds and things like that. We have an ordinance for that. It's to take care of dilapidated buildings. We have an ordinance for dilapidated buildings. And if you don't believe it, I got the number right here. And we already have everything that you're trying to do here. This is socialism, plain and simple. The single family houses, these houses have been on Avenue D and Main Street, some of them since the 60s, probably before that. Them houses was here when Lovington was a booming place. Now what makes you think that you as a government organization can tell people when they sell their house, it has to be a business that's been here ever since Lovington's been here?
Earl, we did change that.
Do what?
We did change that ordinance, that literature, that part of the ordinance.
You changed it.
Yes.
Did you change that to where if somebody's got a house on either one of these streets, it will still be a residence?
Yes, sir.
It is still a residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well that's good. I thought you changed it so it had to be a business if they didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
We'll go into more into detail later. Thank you, sir.
Okay, but this is all you're going to do with this ordinance is you're going to run businesses out of Lovington that's here. I've talked to business people in Lovington, and that's what they said.
Thank you,
Okay, I got off that's all I have to say, and that's how I feel about it.
We appreciate your comment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
Thanks, Earl.
I agree with him. I'd like to maybe handle it a different way and say, let's get a different ordinance that allows the business
I'm
owner.
sorry. Can state your name, first and last name, sir?
Do I have to?
Yes. I apologize that it caught you right in the beginning.
Barry Miller.
Thank you.
I'd like to propose that we have an ordinance where the business owners on Main and D can come inspect your house. See if you've repurposed your garage for storage. See if your colors match what we want. Will you do that? That's what you're wanting me to do. Let you tell me what to do with my property. So if you think this is a good idea, let us tell you what to do with your property. My point made.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
And I think it's disrespectful to those who have served in the military, that you want to abolish the freedom they fought for.
Amen.
Shane Elliott, representing Edgehouse Spout and Pump. We own a building on Main Street. Some would say it's not the prettiest of buildings in the world. It's a shop. We use it as a shop. That's what it's for. We park several things outside of it, RVs, different things that we use. The roof probably doesn't look the greatest in the world, but you know what? It doesn't leak. As far as I can tell, a lot of the things lined out in this, it's going to cost me a lot of money. To the point to where I can't afford to keep that building because the roof alone would probably cost me 70 grand. I can't afford to do that. Are you going to pay for it? I don't think so. I doubt it. As far as I can tell, all of these policies, all they're going to do is devalue property. All up and down Main Street and Avenue D, including mine. And we don't appreciate that.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Do Deanne Kimbrough. As you know, we own property on Main Street also. I'm in a little bit different situation than they are. My property is adjacent and connected to other properties and that are empty and not maintained at all. And if something happens to those buildings, mine's gonna go down with it. And my business will go down with it. I don't know what the answer is as far as, you know, the other standalone buildings, but as far as mine goes, I want the people that are next to me to have to maintain their roof because they're not. And we've had roofers get up looking at our roofs that have walked across and nearly fallen in on those. The building on the corner from us that has buildings that, you know, that are attached to it, that roof has collapsed. And the alleys are closed because of the bricks and the dangers that it's caused. Therefore, like I said, I can't say anything about the standalone buildings, but I want the people that have buildings next to me to have to maintain them because they've put my property at risk. My insurance rates are higher because of the properties that are attached to mine, because they are not maintained. And I know Earl, you're talking about the Main Street and what they've done down there and the funding that they've had. We've been granted a couple of those grants and we're using them right now. We used it to, when I opened my new store next to my quilt shop, it went to the benefit of that. I think it improved that a lot. We've also got one of the facade, or the behind the facade grants. We were granted that, and with that we're being able to bring the buildings up to code, replace back windows, back doors, and the access to those buildings. You know, in the past, I've been up here and I've complained about some of the stuff that Main Street's done. We've all come to an agreement, and I can only see that they're working towards helping us as businesses down there. I think they're doing a great job. Like I said, I can't say anything. I don't know and don't have any interest in the residential part. You know, if I had a home on Main Street or D or a standalone building, but as somebody who has buildings that are all adjacent and squished in between buildings that are not maintained, something has to be done. My one question is how will it be enforced? You know, that's my only thing, is that how will it be enforced, and will there be personnel there to enforce it? That's all.
Thank you.
I'm Gayla Nagel, and I live on 5th and D. And I think my house was built before 1940. And I'm a widow, and when I read that in the paper, it scared me because I didn't want to have to sell it to a business because I might not ever be able to get rid of it. So that's why I came. I've lived there for 25 years.
And Gayla, we are protecting the homeowners. Hopefully our literature will cover that in the new.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Patrick Morales. So I grew up in Lovington my whole life. I left Lovington 17 years ago when I joined the military. When I came, now that I'm back, I was actually in Honduras when I got this notification saying that, hey, they're about to get rid of homes down D in Maine. I guess my main reason to be here is to get more understanding as far as, is this the intent? Is the intent to displace the families that are in Lovington, which is our main focus, which is the well-being of Lovington, the people of Lovington, correct? That is our main focus, and not so much the businesses. Businesses are great, but it's the people of Lovington. So the reason I had to actually come back early is because this is my property that I have on the corner of Main and D, and I have people calling me telling me that, hey, I think this is the intent. So I guess what I'm asking now is
No, it's not.
What are we doing here? Is this?
And we'll share that with you here in a minute, because it's a little lengthy, but we will definitely share it. But no, we're not missing.
So has there been an amendment to the?
Yes.
So there has been an amendment.
Yes.
Okay, so the initial shock was correct.
Yeah, and we discussed that in our open meeting 2 weeks
Okay.
ago.
So, yeah.
And then we did get it addressed and add a little bit to the ordinance, made a few changes.
Cannot wait to hear that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Any other public comment? Okay. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, actually, you would need a motion for this particular resolution.
Moving on to action items, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2019-39, amendment of the draft ordinance number 569 to incorporate protection for existing single-family dwellings within the proposed zoning economic district.
Second.
Got a motion second, James?
So, Mayor and Commissioners, I know that several folks tonight have expressed concern over single-family dwellings within the district, and as the discussion that we had at our last City Commission meeting, we discussed two things. That one, current uses, this is a long-term solution to a problem with conflicting uses within a district geared towards economic improvement. And of course, we do have those 20 homes that we counted that were within this district. And yes, the original ordinance would have prohibited that use whenever the whenever the property changed ownership. Well, at the direction of commission, we prepared this amendment. The resolution as written right now would allow the continued use, should this ordinance be adopted, it would allow the continued use of single-family dwellings built prior to January 1st, 2019. They can continue to use it as a residence. They can transfer this ownership to family members if they want to will it to them, or they can actually sell it as a single-family residence, so long as they comply with the maintenance and security requirements. Now, in the event that, let's say, for instance, somebody does have a single-family residence and they have converted that usage into a business, you cannot switch that usage back to a single-family dwelling. So that amendment would address, I believe, the concerns of a lot of the individuals who have spoke about the issue that they have lived there for 25, 40 years. So this would address that particular issue. Also, other comment that staff have received, we did have somebody who recommended that for commercial properties that do have a parking lot, that they do maintain those entrances as well as the surface of the parking area. And then another, that actually came from one of our business owners. And then in addition to that, in 1734-130 does require that individuals who live out of town, who own property, that they would have to contract with a property management company. So after a discussion I had with a local realtor today, we're recommending that we just basically remove that language to where it would incorporate a local contact person who's listed with the city, to where they can actually verify the integrity of the building, as well as notice for service for any warnings, citations, abatement notices. One of the issues that we have is that if, for instance, we have a owner of a property that lives out of town, and let's say that right now they've got an excessive weed or trash problem. In order for us to serve that, we physically have to provide that notice to that property owner. Well, if they live in West Virginia, we run into problems with that. We can't simply send it unless we hire a process server. So this would allow us to have a local point of contact where we could work with those individuals to make sure that the property is being taken care of and is in conformance with the requirements that are set forth in the ordinance. But those are the three amendments that we could add to the actual ordinance that we have right now. This would be the last night that we could actually add those amendments to meet those publication requirements, unless the commission has any other suggestions.
Patrick, could you go back to your first slide? I'm sorry, James, could you elaborate on maintenance and security requirements?
The maintenance and security requirements are listed within the ordinance, and really this comes down to basic property maintenance, where if you maintain your roof, it's a lot easier to maintain it than to completely replace it. To preserve the integrity of the building, to keep rodents or insects or even break-ins, it's a lot cheaper to maintain the property from that standpoint than to wait for the problem to get so bad to where you've got extensive repairs, remediation. We have the one building that Mrs. Kimbrough had mentioned, where the roof finally collapsed on that. Right now, there is nothing in our ordinance that addresses these basic maintenance requirements. The only time when a dilapidated structure can be dealt with at this point is if it becomes an immediate health and safety risk. But this is basic property ownership and maintenance requirements.
Thank you, James.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions by the board?
So basically, James, the homes are going to continue to be homes.
Yes, sir.
And they can be sold or transferred by the owner to family member or whoever they desire.
Yes, sir. Should this resolution be adopted with this particular language, yes, sir, that use would still be allowable within the economic zone.
Okay.
Just to elaborate a little bit on that. So if you have a home and you sell it to a doctor makes a doctor's office out of it, that doctor cannot go back and make that as a home again, okay? Once you transfer it over to a business, then it remains business, okay? If you have a home and you give it to one of your family members, or you sell it as a home, it continues to stay as a home, okay? James, how about on any grandfathering, on anything? Do we have anything that's going to be grandfathered in other than, well, we mentioned the homes in the beginning, but now that is no longer.
Correct.
Do we have anything that we?
Not necessarily grandfathering, but whenever you change zoning, the existing use will continue until that property changes ownership. So if there's a particular use that's going on right now, this ordinance is adopted, and that current use conflicts with one of the uses that are prohibited uses within this proposed ordinance, that use would continue until the property changes ownership. So nothing would be grandfathered in.
The other thing, James, is let's just take a hypothetical situation such as the old Circle K off 5th Street.
Yes.
If a person bought that has to continue to stay as a business, because it was, in most recent times, it's always been a business. What we've had in the past is about a block away, we had something that was a business that was converted into a residence. So basically, this is not allowing you to buy commercial property that is a business, convert it into a residence, which, like on Main Street, the old hospital or whatever, that area is now like it's down there by the old,
It's a residence.
it's a residence now, but at one time it was a hospital. Or
yes,
or medical facility of some sort.
Correct.
So that would continue to stay a residence,
right,
until the point at which someone else came in and did something different with that.
Correct. And just to be clear, as far as if somebody were to purchase a commercial building, they could convert that into a residence as long as it's multifamily dwelling, meaning it's basically apartments. And there's certain square footage requirements that they would have to meet.
So let's, the hypotheticals, since we're talking apartments type deal.
Yes, sir.
Or multifamily.
Yes, sir.
Let's just pretend some investor came in and bought the old Lee County State Bank.
Yes, sir.
And converted that into a type of urban apartment complex of
yes,
some
sir.
sort. Then that would continue to stay that way.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it would also be allowable under the new ordinance as well.
And just to be clear, it was never our intent to take away your rights as homeowners. That was never our intent. once we saw this ordinance resolution come across our desk, we recognized that issue right away, and so we addressed it right away, and that's what we're doing today. So that was never our intent, just to let you guys know.
My feelings on it is this. We're trying to maintain an area into a commercial area instead of a residence. You know, it's like our residents that have now become commercial properties with so many people going into, we'll call it in businesses where trucking is involved. You know, they've tried to convert their property into a trucking business or some sort of business like that. We're just trying to continue to have control. I guess control's not the word I'm looking for.
Improve.
Control is I'll just be honest with you. Control it, because if not, then everybody's going to buy the commercial property because it's cheaper converted into the house, and then we don't have anything on our main thoroughfares that allows us to put commercial property in. Because then you have people say, well, I turned this into residential property. Why are they running this store 24 hours a day? It's commercial property. You built something there. So we're trying to, I guess, have a little leverage to try to alleviate some of those issues. Where property owners, where businesses can come in without knowing that their neighbor now raises problems with, you know, because they run 24 hours or something. So.
Can I put in a question mark?
Sure.
Okay, we have the building at 223 Main. Okay.
North or south?
Across the alley here.
It's right next door to the chamber.
Okay.
Right behind the police department.
The old
right
Ford
behind
place.
The police department, yeah. Over there. Okay, now does this pertain to, we purchased this building with the intent of a storage building. I forgot what year it was, whenever Burger Builders went in. She was from Roswell and she sold it to us. Okay, we've had it since then. Burger King, okay.
I was kind of confused. We're on the other side of town there. Thanks for clarifying.
Anyway, so how does that pertain to our building?
James.
Now, we have noticed that on the north side, we didn't need to paint that, but the rest of it, we don't want to paint. The reason the windows are boarded up is from BB guns breaking the glass.
James.
So, Mayor.
And the property is maintained. I mean, you don't see the side there all jumped up on the side or on the front, either one. And by the way, there's glass down on Main Street across from the courthouse.
All right, James is going to answer your question.
Yes, sir. So to address the use of storage, that's an existing use, and that use would continue, would be allowed to be continued until that property changed ownership. As far as individual buildings and, well, does this building meet that? I really would not want to comment on that right now because I don't have eyes on the building.
Mr. Yes. If I may add to Commissioner Gandy's statement, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, what concerned me was that trucking company that's downtown right now off of Main Street. What is that avenue? Is that James E? G. Right. To me, that's an eyesore because it's becoming a truck yard. It's not even just a business anymore. It looks very ugly to our downtown community, and I think we deserve to have a better Lovington than that is right now. And so I talked to James about that, and there's nothing we can do, but we can prevent things like those occurring again. And that's the general idea behind this, is to ensure that Lovington is kept beautiful, and that and I don't know those folks, and I know they'll probably find out that I did have an issue, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the board. It's just me. So that was my driving force behind with James about that, in order that we have maintained a beautiful Lovington, continues to be a beautiful Lovington, and I think that all of you will agree with that as well. So thank you.
Mr. Elliott?
Sir, I heard a lot of talk about maintaining. You can barely maintain the road in front of my building, much less me maintain my parking lot.
but that's a state highway.
It's no more well maintained than my building, but you want to tell me how to maintain my building, even though there is no structural problems with my building. There's no issues with my building, but your ordinance would, in fact, tell me how to maintain it.
Thank you. Give you a minute, go ahead, Darrell.
So you have one problem business, and you're going to punish everybody for it. That's what you're doing.
Thank you. On my on my point of view on this is, I've been a commissioner, and this is going on my 16th year, and I know I've shared that many times with many of you. We've asked local businesses, we've tried to contact owners that lived abroad and not living here in Lovington to do something with their business, to help us beautify downtown Main Street and so forth. I know we get one crowd comes in here and tells us, hey, beautify Lovington. So we try to make an effort, and we get another crowd that says, hey, you're stepping on our toes. So it's a tough battle to fight. But you know, we get some buildings downtown that the walls are falling in the alley. You need to drive around, and it's not your service, sir. And I don't believe we'll ever show up at your door, because I know you maintain your business well. But you know, we've got one building downtown that that's blocking our alleyway because the wall has completely fallen down because no one ever maintained it. We have structures that are falling. You can only see the face of it, but if you look behind it or you're in it, it's completely collapsed. No one can ever use that building. And if you drive further down south, you get a lot of vacant buildings. You even got some of the gas stations you see out there where their structures are leaning so far over. We have no teeth to put into that to have them fix that structure because we have no ordinance there. So, an understandable Earl's comment and so forth. You know, bad part about it, you got a few bad apples down Main Street, and it causes all of us to have get a little bit of bite off of it. You know, but we're not necessarily looking at the good businesses, the current businesses, the people that are maintaining their property. All we want is just to help everybody maintain, have a safe work environment for our public. Once that Main Street is fixed, and I'll answer your question too on that, 2020 of July is when it's supposed to get started. We're upset about it, City of Lovington, because we have a lot of projects that are ongoing downtown that we're trying to help beautify, especially the downtown area. So please understand that it's not necessarily you guys. I'm glad we addressed the housing issue. I'm glad we took care of that, because I've known a lot of you for many years and so forth, and I know that I wouldn't want my home taken away. So, but when it comes to businesses, you know, I do say I apologize for the ones that are not here today, the ones that are not taking care of their places, the ones that are living in Amarillo and other places and have real estate here, letting their weeds grow high and letting their buildings fall in front of our face. For them are the people that we're addressing. It's not you folks. It's not you. Okay, so please understand that. But yes, ma'am.
My name is Joycelyn Dan, and I have fought with the city for years. We have a vacant lot next to us that has not been maintained for years. I have come down here personally, fought with the city, mice, bugs, everything over there, and it was not mowed down for 5 years in a row. The weeds got up as high as they could, never taken care of. I brought the person's name and phone number to the city to let them know who owned that property. Oh, we can't find them. We can't find them. Baloney. That person has never taken care of that lot next to us. The other day, supposedly it has sold to someone else now. And the other day, first time in 6 or 7 years, that property got mowed down. And that has never been taken care of before that. And we have complained and complained and complained to the city. And we were getting in trouble for it. It wasn't even our property they were griping about. And the city would come over and say that property needs to be maintained. We said, we don't own it. And we have complained and complained to the city. And you guys are complaining, are not maintaining that property. And we were getting in trouble for it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And that, we'd keep going all night if we went with public comment. I appreciate you guys. Other than that, That's what I like to say. You know, it's situations like that, but also if you have situations and you have your neighbor like that, please come to our meetings. I think you get heard. We do make changes, or if not, we'll address it here. The city staff will know that we heard your voice, and they want to make change because they know that they live under, they'll have pressure from us to make sure you get that grass cut or something like that. Sometimes, that's the first time I ever heard of that, and maybe I just missed it because you travel down Main Street so many times like I do. After a while, everything's just blind. You're just focused on where you're going. But I just want to say that that's our full intention, and I hope it works for the betterment of the community. If you feel like you're being harassed for some reason by the city or something like that, please come and address us here at the city. We love to hear from you, and we appreciate everybody coming this evening, and as well as making their comment. It's always welcome, no matter how harsh it might be or how vocal it might be. We really appreciate it.
I have a question. Like he was talking about his parking lot here. You can make all the promises you want, but if it's not in writing up there, at some point, it may be next year, 10 years from now, it will be enforced to the fullest extent, to the letter. I've seen that with the parking in the grass stuff. The guy who went to college, they had the grass deal. His tire was hanging halfway off of 2 strips of concrete. He gets a ticket. You see how it goes to the letter of the law. No matter what they promise to get it through, it ends up the letter. And that's how it will be enforced at some time in the future, with no regard for anything else.
I appreciate it, guys. I want to go ahead and close. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I just need some clarification as far as the amendment that's being, because I'm one of those that owns property here, but I'm stationed in El Paso. I've never received any type of complaints or anything. Am I going to be required to have just a point of contact that they can get a hold of me, or am I going to have to actually hire someone, a property manager, that's going to charge me regardless whether I have it?
You said you have a home, right? Does somebody reside in there?
One of my homes here in down Avenue D in Maine. Like you said, do the amendment. They need a point of contact for whenever since I am gone, to reach out and get a hold of me. So they want a property manager or something. Do you need an actual property manager? Or
No.
now leave a point of contact?
Just a point of contact.
Okay, so I just have to register someone
Or
that
just
can get a hold
always,
of me right away.
yes, sir. As long as you maintain it, as long as you're on the record, that's fine. A lot of these people, they've been on there for years on a title, and they've moved around and so forth as well. Any other, James?
Yes, sir. To speak of the amendment, of course, we do have the resolution that was submitted tonight. It did include the single-family dwelling issue to address that. But what my question is, do we want to amend the motion that was made to include the parking lot that was suggested by someone, and then as well as change the language from property management to a point of contact?
I think point of contact would be better because that way they're not having to pay anybody to do that.
Well, on the point of contact though, it probably needs to be updated at least yearly, because in today's society, people change photographs, emails, everything like that. So it needs to be updated pretty frequently.
Yes, sir.
At least once a year, I would suppose, because if we just say we have a point of contact, and we have a point of contact with the people we have
Okay.
now, and we can't get a hold of them. So
We can add that in there.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
James, what was the parking lot?
The parking lot, it's just to make sure that the approaches or the entrances, as well as the parking lot, is maintained. A very broad definition.
that's interesting. Keep that going. Taco Cardell now, Main Street, have issues, and then we got a couple other little.
Essentially, the amendment would say it's not specifying what the parking lot is made out of. It's just essentially saying that It needs to be maintained. If you have large holes, it needs to be patched with material that is similar to what the parking lot is constructed out of.
Even if it's
Caliche, yes, sir.
Caliche.
It is not specifying materials as far as what the parking lot. It would just basically, you need to patch it with a material that's similar to what it's constructed with.
Anybody want to amend the motion?
We need a motion, right?
Yeah, so we're talking about the parking lot and
Point of contact.
yeah, okay. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to amend that initial motion to include the wording point of contact as opposed to property manager. We'll leave it at point of contact, and also to include the parking lot requirement of the property to include improvement of whatever material is currently used for that parking lot.
Second.
And motion second. That motion second and a roll call? Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Just so I'm clear, are we making an amendment and voting on the amendment, or do we amend the whole previous
We're
motion?
amending the actual
Resolution.
resolution, the entire
Okay.
resolution.
I just wanted to make
We're
sure I was
voting
on
on
the
that
same.
resolution.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
So that was understood that we are amending the resolution 2019-039. Okay, roll call vote, Anna?
Commissioner Butcher,
Aye.
Commissioner Campos,
Aye.
Commissioner Gandy,
Aye.
Mayor Trujillo.
Aye. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2019-40, authorizing execution of a budget amendment and grant extension to CDBG project number 16 CNR I01G05.
Second.
And motion second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we awarded this particular project at our last City Commission meeting, but in order to stay compliant with local government division, who administers the CDBG program for the state of New Mexico, we do need to amend the budget, which because of the cost of construction, we will need to amend the budget to increase the city portion by $70,316.54, as well as, again, an extension of time. Both of these have been approved by New Mexico DFA. It just requires our signature on these documents. The grant would be extended until December 31st of 2019. We are anticipating construction. I know we have our annual meeting with DFA regarding the grant program April 16th, and anticipating our required pre-construction meeting the week of April 22nd, and we're very optimistic construction will begin late April, between the end of April, middle of May. It's a 3-month project. However, there's certain things that you have to do in order to close out one of these federal grants. And so December 31st does take into account any potential weather delays during the construction, as well as the required public hearings and closeout process for the grant.
Okay. Any questions by the board? Had a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2019-041, award of RFP for city entry signs.
Second.
A motion second, James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we did release an RFP for the replacement of the Forest City Welcome to Lovington signs. We only had one response, which was from Ald Signs. Total project to include a new concrete bases for the new signs. Total cost would be $99,570. This would be spread out, but we did have this funding budgeted through reimbursement from the insurance company from the individual who had the unfortunate collision with the one on Highway 18, as well as using lodger's tax funds. So we do have funding budgeted for this particular project. And we actually had in our RFP the requirement that it be completed prior to July 30th, so in time for our fair and rodeo.
So nothing coming out of the general fund, is that correct?
No, sir, this would be handled by our lodger's tax.
Very good, thank you.
Had a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Do I have a motion?
Where's Art? We can't pay the bills without Art. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Had a motion and a second, Gary.
If I may, your mayor and commission, I'll just hit the highlights, everything that's 5,000 or more. On the first page of your report, you'll see that the $29,182 for Dana Nepper, which of course is the purchase of water meters, flanges, gaskets, that sort of thing for the water department. And then we move down to George K. Baum for the $25,350. These are the individuals that help us with our loan processing and things like that. This is a renewal of our annual retention agreement that we have with them, and then also work that they've done related to the loan we received for the ladder truck. And then below that we have Harbin for $60,722, an unusual company that we purchased a skid-mounted sewer jetter from. And then as we move down, we go down to the Candy Cane Water Well Services for $10,340. They had to replace a pump at our well number 5. And then moving down, we have the $13,251, a quarterly payment to the Chamber of Commerce. And then below that, the $13,500 is a quarterly payment for the Economic Development Department. And then as we move down, you'll see the $37,500 was essentially a catch-up payment since we made an agreement with the Norley Hospital, and they finally sent us a bill for the first 3 months of our monthly agreement to maintain the wellness center. And then below that is the P&D Petroleum, a standard monthly bill of $14,718 for our fuel citywide. And then on the next page, the Solid Waste Authority, again, is a routine monthly expense for our roll-offs at the convenience station, the $11,739 there. And then with Valentine Auto Service, the $6,614, that's broken into 3 different things. One of the vehicles, a Chevy Command vehicle with the fire department, needed a motor mount. The parks needed truck repair, and then heater repair for a vehicle, EMS vehicle. And I'm available if you have any other questions.
Mr. Mayor, Clark?
Yes, sir.
Gary mentioned on the payment to the Norley General Hospital
Yes, sir.
for the wellness center. That was 3 months worth of payments, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I thought our payment was $98.50 a month, or something to that effect.
$93.75.
Though that $37,500 divided by 3 months is $12,500.
They gave us a discount, apparently, but that's what they invoiced us for the months of November, or was it October through December?
It's 4 months.
So it's 4 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay. October, November, December. I thought it was 3 months.
Okay. Any other questions by the board? Any other questions by the board?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.